Everybody have flexibility? Yes. Beautiful. Just
don't step on my table. I don't have a surface.
So go ahead and move your table as far as you need it to, or as close as you need it to, so that the pebble is stays somewhat in focus. You're supposed to let your gaze fall onto the pebble, and between where your feet are and where the pebble is, it said that it's about 1 yoke length. So about 2 feet, 2.5, somewhere around there. You can move this around as much as you want and just kind of try to get the right position so that your eyes can just fall onto this pebble without straining your eyes, without needing to look too close or too far. When it's too close, it can cause you to start seeing double, or triple, or so you want to put it kind of far enough that it's just a gentle gaze. So now I'm going to read from that section of the text with brief instructions on how to sit. Legs in the Vajra posture, body straight, chin tucked in, shoulders broad, hands in the mudra of equanimity, resting in the gaze, and the tongue is brought up a little. Without any effort, relaxing analytical investigation of what is and what is not, rest as things are in the innate nature of reality, without meditation and without distraction, without exerting focus and without being carried away. That's the meaning of without meditation and without distraction. By not wavering from that nature, you just rest. Do not think about the pebble. Do not analyze the pebble. Let your sight fall onto the pebble. Do not try to obstruct any of your senses. Let the 6 senses remain clear, operational. Do not try to block any of them. But don't get carried away by thoughts and stories and narratives and worries and plannings. Simply rest. And try to look at the vividity, the clarity of this state of simply resting. Look at it again and again and again and again. Don't expect to look for long periods. Just momentarily look, and momentarily look, and momentarily look. Look with the curiosity of a child, which means everything is fresh and vivid and clear, but with not a lot of stories, or any stories, any narratives, any overt memories going on. without any projection, but simply with clear, sustained interest. Any observations about pebble staring?
Question.
Mm-hmm.
For a lot of time in the beginning with the pebble, I was trying to gaze at the pebble and leave everything in my field of vision. I'm speaking strictly from my vision as it is. And I find that there is a tendency to let my gaze fall on the pebble, and then everything else gets a little blurry. And I was trying to correct that, and I stopped correcting that.
Yeah.
Does it matter either way? It's actually more comfortable if I let everything else a little bit fall to blur.
You are resting your sight onto the pebble. And so I think naturally everything will just, and it's okay because you're not, the main thing is that the faculty of sight is not being shut down. It says don't obstruct any of your sense faculties. That means don't make a point of blocking them. Sometimes they will become slightly blocked, sometimes they will become clear. Don't have preference, but have awareness that now is sharpening. Now, now is zooming in, and then, hey, it's kind of out now, but also just no feeling of it.
Thank you.
Sometimes there's a tightness in my chest. It's not part of the gazing part, but it's like being aware of a discomfort within oneself, I guess.
Yeah, and then come back to the pebble.
It'll go away, like with that. Sometimes when I just recognize that it's there, it'll stop, or it'll, much like periphery.
No direct, it's just incidental. And remember these instructions, it says to do this for short periods. So even though as a group, we did 20, 25 minutes, but even within that, you can decide, okay, now I'm going to just close my eyes and say, I'm taking a break. Then you can open up your eyes and go back to it. So you modify, firstly, if you're in a group, in a way that doesn't distract other people. You don't modify it by deciding, I'm going to get up and walk around now. And that's just ignoring the fact that, you're part of a group. Sometimes that's what happens, not just this, at Dharma centers or anything. Like everybody is so into whatever they are into and unwilling to consider that there are other people around. But that's part of our training, to consider that there are other people around. Yeah. So whatever you decide to do in order to kind of be true to your process, so to say, there's a fine line there between being true to your process and feeding, those habits, those ancient spirits that are turning up. Then beyond that, there is the not considering that you're now sitting as a group. But considering that you're sitting as a group could also go too far, as in then you just say, no, I need to look at all times. Then you're forcing it. But no, the instructions say, keep it fresh, keep it vivid, like a child entering into a new space. being curious. It's a kind of curiosity of not so much like mental gossip going on. You're like, oh, this reminds me of this. Oh, this reminds me of that. Oh, that idiot that did this when I was, or all those, not that kind, A child's curiosity is just, this sense of like curious and a slight sense of wonder and awe, but you can't even call it that. I think it's only when grown-ups are looking, they say, oh, that. So that's like a whole other layer of like, yada, yada, yada. But try to kind of understand what it means, They give the example of like when a child goes in the Tibetan case, it says, walks into a temple. Because in that society, the fanciest public space that one could walk to would be the temple. So, to translate that example, you would say, a child, walking into a new space and being curious. And kind of watching, looking intently, but without any kind of overlay, and without feeding to the next. So recognize the momentary nature of our awareness. Don't think of this awareness being one big thing, but that it's momentary. It's every moment. There's an awareness of the pebble, and then there's the next moment of the awareness of the pebble. And our job is just to maintain that awareness for that one moment. Then next moment. Then another moment. And then another moment. And then close your eyes if you need to have a break, relax. And in the context of Fivefold Path, you could say that then when you close your eyes, you might want to, rather than letting your thoughts kind of wander around doing nothing in particular or things that you should not be doing with your thoughts, you see, No, it's okay. You see yourself, You imagine yourself as the Yidam, which is the Fivefold Path uses that method, So that when you rest in this case, you can rest in yourself as Yidam, or you could also rest in thinking about the Guru's blessings flowing into you. You could rest with bodhicitta. And understanding that whether it's bodhicitta, whether it's idam, whether it's devotion, these are all ways in which the Great Seal is brought to the foreground. They're all practices of the Great Seal. They're all practices of Mahamudra. Any other observations or questions? Yeah, you don't need to carry some special pebble with you, because sometimes then that becomes like a whole other thing. Wherever you go, you can find a pebble, Just put it there. Point is that it's pretty mundane, not some special pebble. It's pretty mundane. And if there are no pebbles, lunch break, you're sitting in the park, sitting on a bench. As you're eating, as you're drinking, as you're reading, as you're resting, take some moments to just let your sight anchor on one object and rest and just gaze. And then as we do more of that, then we slowly develop the ability to just remain. And then distraction becomes less. We feel distractions become less. You want the book? We started off tonight with the recitation of Vajravidharana's heart mantra. Vajravidharana has at least 3 mantras in 3 lengths. The longest one, the middling, and the shortest. The shortest was the one that we were chanting. Chanting the mantra is a good way to kind of anchor and to rest. Chanting the mantra. And then in particular, Vajravidharana is for cleansing spiritual pollution. There's a lot of spiritual pollution in the air that we think that we're impervious to. Spiritual or psychic or whatever you want to call it. We think we're impervious to, but we're not. We get affected by. So when you do this practice, it doesn't work if you don't take it seriously. If you're distracted, it won't work. Unless there is an individual with very strong bodhicitta, then they temporarily might be able to kind of interrupt your wandering around. So that's when they say, your guru, if the guru has that kind of bodhicitta, that kind of power, then Jidesungen says in Gongchik, it says that the guru has the power to yank someone out of the hell realms. That sounds like, oh wait, that's against karma. Well, it's not against karma. It shows that the power of bodhicitta is so strong that it can infect others. So that's kind of like the magic, but ultimately not magic. But it's magical. But then again, don't count on magic. Don't discount magic, but don't count on magic. If you need to count on magic, you count on the magic of creating that magic in your own life. And that comes from strength that is gathered through practice. You have to practice and practice and practice. If you don't practice, this is not going to work. This is all pointless. You cannot, expect to be entertained in varying degrees on Wednesday nights or Saturday. You have to practice. You have to engage in formal practices. Then you have to engage in informal as much as possible. Sometimes when our schedule gets too busy, naturally, normally, usually when your schedule gets too busy, then your formal practice gets a little bit derailed. But watch out, because before long, you get buried by everything else. Then you're off. You're off course. So this is not, some kind of God-based religion where if you don't do it, you'll be punished. You posted something about you are not punished for being angry. You're punished by your anger. Same with everything. All the afflicted things that, you're not punished because you've gone lazy, you have not done your practice. You're not punished for that. But the laziness is the punishment. So to say, punishment. That's the fruit, you're feeding that. Then before long, problem with laziness is that it's a vampire. Laziness is such a kind of dangerous of the afflictive emotions. Because laziness doesn't give you more energy. it's an energy vampire. It sucks the life out of you once you feed it. So then you say, well, how do I counteract laziness? You got to find ways to kind of like inspire yourself or be inspired. So go hang out with, people, situations, places where it will inspire you to get away from that energy vampire. Because when you're inspired, you create more energy. You stir up. You gather what we call wind horse, long da. Right? That mythic figure, wind horse. That is a symbol of basic energy. Basic energy that get depleted or get increased. So why people hang prayer flags? Fundamentally, it's about long da. It's raising long da. Raising our energy level. By the way, Tibetans, the practice of hanging long da, first thing is not to hang indoors. There is no lung indoors, like physical lung. There's no wind. So it's not gonna be moved. Secondly, you might hang some around your house, but actually no. You hang at holy places, where there's a stupa there, where there's people practicing there, or at the very least, if all that is not available and something else is available, look for high places, mountains. Of course, here, if you randomly hang in mountains, I don't know what will happen. And so if you can only hang at your house, at least hang outside of your house, not inside of your house. But then, of course, if you can't even hang outside of your house, well, I guess better to hang inside the house than not to hang them. You could buy a fan, ceiling fan, and keep blowing it. Hey, if you can have prayer wheel to cheat, I'm sure you can have ceiling fan to cheat on your long da. Or you could stand there, or you could pay your child to fan, Kid, $5, your summer job every day. And so raising wind horse, long da, is also. So when things are kind of pushing you down, you have to say, okay, time to get up. Go find someone, go find some place that will yank you out of it. Is it the long-term solution? No, it's not. But as with life, with Dharma practice, sometimes you need to take the short term first, because if you don't, you get dragged down further and further and further and further and further. Sometimes I think Western practitioners, because you've been exposed to a very high view, Mahamudra, Dzogchen, all of that, or even Advaita Vedanta, all these things. You have been exposed to very high view. And that's dangerous. Then you kind of discount all these skillful methods that the Buddha gave. And you think, oh, if I cannot have this high view of Buddha nature, then I don't want to do anything. Then you get dragged down and more and more and more. Because you think, if I cannot have this big solution, I'm not going to. No. You have to recognize, like right now, I have no ability to uproot the main problem. So deal with the problem at hand. And the first thing to deal with the problem at hand is get yourself out of that situation. So if you feel energy being sucked out, leave. Get out of that situation. Whether it's a mental situation, whether it's a physical situation, specifically with your Dharma practice. So Vajravidarana is one of these methods that can, if you take it seriously, Otherwise, it's just like water falling on your head. What's the point? But if you take it seriously, that this is being removed, it can. Because this is the interdependence of Buddha taught this. Many others have practiced this. Yeah? So the power of your intention, the power of Buddha's method, the power of many, generation to generation has employed this. All this coming together, it has the power. What about if you make up some ritual? It could work. If the power of your intention is there, yeah, it could work. But this kind of methods definitely will work if you take them seriously. Here, many people, again, are exposed to very high views. But there's no way to integrate that high view. Then it's all just empty words, empty ideas. They stick around in the head, it can't go anywhere. If you need Vidarana, the water, you yourself should bless it, but you should also take kind of like, I guess, the SCOBY of Vidarana water. We have it in the fridge there, in that mason jar. Use that as a starter. And then you add your own, and then you recite every day. Blow into it. If you can't come this Saturday, the formal ritual of being cleansed will be done from 3 to 4:30. If you can't come, I will have more spritzer bottles. Ordered more.
So you want us to bring our water again?
What do you think?
Yes.
Yeah, so no need to ask,
I just want to make sure because mine is turning white again. I don't know how you guys keep it yellow or red.
You buy saffron and you add saffron water instead of adding,
Oh. I haven't gotten any yet.
Yeah. But the point is not white or yellow or blue. The point is that whenever there's a gathering of people reciting Vajravidarana, you get it charged. You get it charged with that blessing, charged with that power. Whenever you can, you bring. If you can remember, you bring. Here are statues of Amitabha. In the Chinese tradition, it's Amitabha, but there's nothing in particular that says it's Amitabha. It's just a Buddha statue. Somewhat like our Buddha. Originally, these were gifts from Jasper. Some of you have met him from Malaysia. And then Jess kindly brought them back this summer. Dashboard Buddha. No hula hooping though. Buddha is stable, okay, so. You could imagine hula hooping Buddha, but the Buddha itself will be stable. Very well done. Yeah. So this is a gift from Jasper originally. Then, see, that's the thing about Dharma, you can re-gift. So also the occasion of giving this is somebody in California has been advised by His Holiness to do some Amitabha related in terms of Amitabha image or tankas or statues and dedicated to her husband that passed away a few years ago. So I'm helping her to create kind of interdependence. So this is the deceased name is Steve Cook. And so anyway, I said to her, I said, oh, we have Amitabha statues. I can give some away. And we will dedicate this to Steve Cook. So if you want one, please come and get this before you leave. They are here. Yeah. And if you know someone who might like it, you can take one and give it to them too. And that's how you create energy, engaging in sacred objects, spreading them. But don't just simply hand them out. Just people who want to. Like, so I didn't give every one of you, and then maybe you have too many, you don't know what to do with it, but if you want, they're here. Making them available rather than just giving. So anyway, between now and middle of October, I'm mostly here. So I would like to make a schedule about upcoming programs in the next few days. I'll figure that out. Hopefully, we'll have a number of programs between I leave in October. Middle of October, I'm leaving to go to the 800th anniversary celebration in India, followed by Bhutan. So I'll be gone that time, basically 6 weeks. Then I'll be back, and then I'll be gone. But we will plan things so that whenever I come back, that's when we'll do special programs. But when I'm not here, remember, you come here to practice, you don't come here to be entertained. Then you say, well, I come here to learn. No, actually, you have learned way more than many Buddhists in Asia, including those in monastery. If you might think, I'm not praising myself at all. I'm just saying in general, the circumstance of teaching Dharma, it doesn't occur a lot in Asia. A few years ago at the 50 Empowerments in West Virginia, a number of you were up there. There was a young Tibetan girl that happened to be there. She grew up in Tsopema. Her father or the mother is the secretary to one of the main lamas in Tsopema. If you all know Lama Lena's teacher, Lama Wangdo. So this girl's family are basically Lama Wangdo's like assistants. So she grew up in the monastery all her life. At the 50 Empowerment in West Virginia, after the first day, she said, finally, I know what's going on. Because His Holiness explained it. Actually, I think His Holiness in India or wherever, where he does these public things, he doesn't explain because nobody expects him to explain. And if he explains, people might even leave, like, no, we got to go now. So they don't need, but the thing is, tremendous devotion. So they don't need to know much. They practice. One time I asked Jongsakyang Rinpoche, before he was a big name, like I could just hang out with him. He said, there is a big difference between teaching to Asians and teaching to Westerners. I said, what's the difference? He said, Asians, a lot of devotions, not much questions. West, a lot of question, not much devotion. I said, so of the two, which is a more serious problem? He thought about it, then he said, a lot of questions, not enough devotion. I said, because then they will never put it into practice. Then they know everything about the medicine. All the ins and the outs about the medicine, all the, counter effects and how it was sourced and all of that, everything. You can tell, exactly how it works in the body. But have you taken it? No. I don't know what it'll do if I take it. In the Asian case, they have absolutely no idea where it comes from, what it's going to do, anything. But because they trust the Lama so much, Lama says, take this, they just take it. So then of the two, of course, the ideal is to have both. Developing wisdom and developing devotion. But if you get to choose devotion, and what that means, devotion is not Buddha's way, because this language is always connected to other religious traditions, right? Other religious traditions, when it says devotion, almost always you think, don't ask any questions. Or blindly follow. But no, all these teachings about devotion is operating within a bigger context of no blindly following. So devotion here doesn't mean blindly following. It means trusting to put into practice. To practice it yourself. To practice it yourself. So anyway, practice is important, okay? You want to see the results, you practice. And practice as a group is important. If your circumstance don't allow you the group, then of course, you make do with what you have. Sometimes it's not so easy to come to the group for whatever reasons. That's fine. But bottom line is, you want to make the effort. You want to make the effort.
I know.
And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. But your devotion is making the effort to come together and to do. So anyway, related to urban Dharma and its future, moving forward, really, it's not like, I'm abandoning this, but there are lots of things for all of us to do. I have lots of things to do. You have lots of things to do, Yes?
Can I go out on the limb of humiliation here? Can you give us 6 teachings, and we'll have some of these experienced Sangha members lead us? Can you give us 6 teachings before you go? It could be a word.
What do you mean?
Like when you're going to be gone for 6 weeks, and we're going to come here and meet for 6 Wednesdays.
So we'll plan that, okay?
So that this doesn't not be here.
So we need to plan it.
So you can just tell us 6 words or 6 anything, or say stare at your pebble.
Yeah, sure.
And that way we all...
Exactly. So we'll have to plan things well,
so that when you're gone, it goes on.
Yes, exactly. And also, this goes on. This will go on. I think moving forward, we want to have all sorts of programs here, not just about me, This is never this, When we started, again, I want to remind you all, I wasn't living here. I was living 2 hours away doing my professor job. This is for the community, Then actually, in terms of growing your practice in one lineage and all of that, even that, I'm saying, me constantly being here is not the way to go. And it's not like, I'm taking off to go sit by a beach. Well, although I'm doing some of that. That's further down the road. But doing Dharma work, it's going to increase more and more. His Holiness has asked me to basically do more. So it's almost every month I need to go to a different country from now until June.
Thank you.
It's almost every month I need to go to a different country. So when I come back from India and Bhutan, I'll have about 2 weeks before I have to go. And that time will be another 2-3 weeks. I think Brazil, Peru, Ecuador, and Cuba. This is with His Holiness. And then I come back sometime in January. It's January 8th, I think. Then I'll be around for 3 weeks. Then I have to go to Taiwan to do a translation annually with His Holiness for a week. Then I need to go to Malaysia for New Year with my parents. Then I'll come back. And sometime in March, I'm supposed to go to Bangladesh to receive Atisha's relics, which His Holiness then want me to take those relics back to Indonesia, where Atisha received his bodhicitta lineage from. Holiness is giving those relics to Indonesia. So I will take to Indonesia. Then I'll come back. Most of April, I should be here. Then I have to go to Bhutan again, and this time to teach for a few weeks. Then I come back, and end of May, early June, His Holiness will have a program in West Virginia. Some of you have been there before. You should come again. This is shorter. This is just a weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
What month is that?
End of May, either last weekend of May or first weekend of June. And we are basically the organizing unit, just like the last time, because there's no Sangha in West Virginia. And we will be responsible for that program. So that takes us up to, early June. Nothing, I think, in June. Then July, I have to be in Malaysia again. That's the 1,000 offerings with His Holiness. But short, I'll be there for maybe 10 days. Then I'll come back. Then September, maybe Greece. That's my own business. That's the beach part. No, it's a mindfulness and wellness retreat in one of the islands that our Barbara has a property on. Yeah, Kitara. That's September. October, I need to go to Malaysia again. There's another 1,000 offerings retreat. So,
Tashi show.
Tashi show here. Yes.
I just wanted to share a little something.
Uh-huh.
You were talking about how important practice is.
Uh-huh.
And I just did this course on how to teach dyslexic kids. And during this training, they said something which just stuck with me about our practice. But there's the expression that practice makes perfect. And they changed that to practice makes permanent. So they're like, be really careful of what you're practicing.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.